pull downs, right? And then do a few variations of that, and then we'll go from there. I'm not necessarily claiming for this to be the best back exercise for mass, but this is what I found has helped me build some back mass and tether as well. So down, pull it down, and back. Try not to hit top of your chest here. As he's coming up, he's gonna breathe in, and then all the way out, and then that way you can get the full contraction of the lat, and then when he blows all the between just doing a normal powerlifting deadlift and what I'm doing here. So I'm not coming all the way through like you noticed in the big boy video where I learned to deadlift for the first time, like powerlifter form. He said come all the way through and almost lock out to the point where your body's in the straight line like a pencil. Instead, I'm going 3/4 of the way down, so it should be like just below my knee. And as I come up, my focus isn't immediately just drive straight up like that. Come to like just before parallel and drive my elbow, my hands and my palm backwards so that I'm forcing my lats to contract the whole time. So it's actually a good movement for bodybuilding because one of the main functions of your lat is to pull downwards like this. So that's what you should be focusing on. As you come up, you're pulling your lats downwards. And when you pull, think about driving your hands behind your back. Normally, I just use no shoes and just go full flat foot tripod stance. Since the floor is a bit slippery, it's just a wood plank. I'm just gonna put on the shoes. These are relatively flat. They're not super elevated or anything like that, so it's not too bad. But I don't recommend using like running shoes for deadlifting or rack pulling or 3/4 deadlift. You have to keep your core braced, so usually I'd start with this rather than the pull downs, but since I wanted to go straight to the heavier movement, the 3/4 deadlift, I figured I'd push this to a little bit later on in my workout since it's not quite as compromising. We're gonna do a dumbbell pullover. Now, one thing that's a little bit different between the way that I do it or Tyler, Brayden, and Chris has taught us to do it, that I'm actually gonna keep my hip relatively low so that my upper back can arch and I can really drive through, keep my diaphragm open as I'm doing the movement rather than scrunching up into almost like a shrugging movement or where you're forced to more so internally rotate and protract, and then you're gonna get more chest activation and just activation of other muscle groups rather than really just driving through your lats. So this is the last lat movement that we're gonna do, and then afterwards we're gonna go to a mid-back movement, right? We're gonna do a T-bar row. The whole focus the whole time should be driving from my elbow and almost thinking about pulling my elbow down to my hip and squeezing that as hard as I can. Now with the pullover movement, since I'm using the dumbbell, we're gonna do this for mid and upper back. One technique that Chris taught us that's definitely really good is your chin and your head positioning as you're going through the motion so that you get a full stretch and full contraction. Since we're trying to target upper back, we're gonna tuck our chin during the concentric and really drive and squeeze almost as if our elbows are wrapping around our body so that we're squeezing our mid back. So when I'm pulling, I'm gonna try to keep my elbows relatively high because as soon as I start tucking in like this, it's gonna go on my lap.